The Atlantic Ocean has always been a constant in my life, its vast blue stretching out as far as the eye can see from the sandy shores of Wildwood, New Jersey. Summers here pulse with life, brimming with tourists and locals mingling under the sun. It's during these months that I step into my role not just as a resident, but as a guardian of these waters, a lifeguard perched high above the crowded beaches. My mornings start early, the sunrise painting the sky in hues of orange and pink as I jog along the beachfront, savoring the quiet before the storm of activity. This ritual grounds me, prepares me for the day ahead. By the time I climb up to my lifeguard stand, the beach begins to wake, families staking claim to their patches of sand, the laughter of children mixing with the cries of seagulls. Nita's shift starts an hour after mine. She jogs up, her sun-bleached hair tied back, face already glowing with a sheen of sweat from her run. "Morning, Eli," she greets with a smile that doesn't quite reach her eyes, her cheerfulness a practiced mask. I've known her long enough to notice these small details, the slight strain behind her greetings, the quick flicker of shadows across her face. Today, she seems more distracted, her gaze drifting off as she scans the horizon. During a lull, as the early bathers play at the water's edge, she confides in me. "My dad's been worse lately," she murmurs, almost lost to the sound of the waves. "I don't know what I'll do when I leave for college." Her words hit hard. I've always felt protective of her, perhaps more than I should. The beach offers no privacy, but the roar of the ocean covers our conversation. "You're almost out, Mia. Just a few more weeks." I try to sound reassuring, but my own heart clenches at the thought of her leaving, the distance that will stretch between us, unspoken feelings lingering in the air like the salty sea spray. As the morning progresses, our routine unfolds with practiced ease. We remind little kids to stay close to shore, reprimand teenagers daring each other into deeper waters, and keep a vigilant eye on the elderly swimmers who brave the currents. It's a dance we perform every day, one that feels as natural as breathing. Yet today, my thoughts keep drifting back to Mia's quiet confession. The afternoon brings a shift in the wind, the breeze cooling the sun's harsh rays. From my perch, I watch Mia interact with beachgoers, her laughter more genuine now as she helps a little girl build a sandcastle. The sight is bittersweet, a reminder of all the summers we've shared and those we won't. Our friendship has always been layered, complex. I've never confessed how deeply I feel for her, fear of rejection holding my words captive. As she stands there, sun-kissed and vibrant, I realize how much I'll miss her. These unrequited feelings, like the relentless waves, erode the barriers I've carefully built around my heart. As the day dwindles, the crowd thins, leaving traces of their presence behind. Abandoned sandcastles, forgotten toys, and the echo of laughter. Mia and I pack up, our shoulders brushing occasionally, a silent acknowledgement of the day's shared burdens and joys. The sun sets, casting a golden glow that seems to pause time, and I find myself wishing it could. That day, the ocean seemed more restless than usual, its waves choppier, foaming at the mouth like an agitated beast. Mia and I resumed our posts, scanning the water with an increased vigilance born out of the morning's emotional revelations and the ocean's erratic behavior. The sun, high and relentless, beat down upon us, casting a glare that made the sea's surface glisten like polished metal. It was during this monotonous scan of the horizon that I noticed something unusual, a dark figure bobbing precariously far out in the water. Squinting against the sun, I grabbed my binoculars for a closer look. My heart sank. It was a person, arms flailing weakly in the water. "Mia there," I shouted, pointing towards the figure. Without hesitation, we both sprang into action. The urgency of the situation momentarily pushed all personal conflicts to the back of our minds. We raced down from our stands, our feet pounding the hot sand as we grabbed our rescue boards. The beach seemed to move in slow motion as we plunged into the surf, the cold water a stark contrast to the heat of the day. As we paddled out, each stroke was a battle against the waves. The distance to the struggling swimmer seemed to grow, the ocean stretching out endlessly before us. My muscles burned, and my chest heaved with exertion, but the sight of the helpless figure spurred me on. Mia, ever strong and composed, kept pace beside me, her determination a silent encouragement. As we drew closer, the figure's struggles became more apparent, and a sense of dread filled me. It wasn't just a simple rescue. Something was wrong. The water around the swimmer churned unnaturally, dark shapes darting below the surface. Mia caught my eye, a trace of fear in her gaze that she quickly masked with a resolute nod. The next moments were a blur of adrenaline. We reached the swimmer, a young man, barely conscious, whispering deliriously about something in the water. As Mia secured him to her board, I glanced back, catching sight of a massive shadow moving beneath the waves. The blood drained from my face as I realized we weren't alone. What happened next was like a scene from a nightmare. A monstrous creature, covered in scales and barnacles, surged from the depths, its eyes soulless pits, and its mouth a cavern of jagged teeth. It was unlike anything I had ever seen, a beast of legend rather than a creature of the sea. Panic seized me, yet my lifeguard training took over. I shouted at Mia to take the swimmer and head back to shore. As she paddled away, I faced the creature, waving my arms and kicking in the water to draw its attention away from them. The creature hesitated, as if puzzled by my challenge, giving Mia the time she needed. With the swimmer and Mia a safer distance away, I dove under the water, hoping to evade the creature. My lungs screamed for air as I swam, pushing my body to its limits. When I surfaced, gasping, the beast was nowhere in sight, but the terror of the encounter clung to me, a cold grip on my heart. As I paddled back to shore, the beachgoers' faces blurred into a sea of concern and confusion. Mia and the rescued swimmer were safe, emergency services swarming around them. I dragged myself onto the sand, my body heavy with exhaustion and my mind reeling from the horror we had escaped. The sun still shone brightly above, indifferent to the darkness that lurked beneath the waves. Back on shore, with my heart still pounding in my chest and my hands trembling from the adrenaline rush, I struggled to comprehend the reality of our encounter. The creature, something dredged up from the darkest depths of maritime folklore, had vanished as mysteriously as it had appeared. Beside me, Mia cradled the rescued swimmer, her face pale but composed, as paramedics swarmed around us, their questions a dull buzz in my ears. As the paramedics took the young man away on a stretcher, his terrified mutterings about the creature echoed in my mind. I looked out to the sea, its surface once again deceptively calm, hiding the horrors beneath. Maya touched my arm, bringing me back to the moment. "Are you okay?" she asked, her voice laced with concern. I could only nod, unable to articulate the fear that the ocean I loved could harbor such nightmares. We sat on the beach, our rescue boards forgotten in the sand, as we watched the sun begin its descent towards the horizon. The beach had cleared rapidly after the incident, the festive atmosphere replaced by a tense, uneasy quiet. What was that thing? Mia's voice was barely a whisper, mirroring my own dread. I shook my head, my thoughts racing. I don't know, but it was like nothing I've ever seen or heard of. This goes beyond any local legends or known marine life. The realization that the creature could still be lurking nearby was a chilling thought that made the ocean seem vast and unknowable. Determined to understand what we had faced, I suggested reporting the incident to the local Marine Research Center. Perhaps they could shed some light on the creature, or at least confirm that such a beast was not just a figment of our shocked imaginations. Mia agreed, her resolve firming. "We need answers, Eli. We can't let this go." That evening, as the sky painted itself in shades of orange and purple, we gave our statements at the local police station. The officers were skeptical, their eyebrows raised in disbelief as we described the monstrous entity. It was frustrating, yet under the weight of such an extraordinary claim, their skepticism was not entirely unjustified. Afterwards, Mia and I walked along the now empty beach, our steps slow, our bodies weighed down by the day's events. We stopped by the water's edge, watching the waves lap gently at the shore, a stark contrast to the earlier violence. "Do you think it will come back?" Maya asked, her voice tinged with fear. I put my arm around her shoulders, trying to offer some comfort. "I don't know, Mia. But we'll be ready if it does. We can't let fear stop us from doing our jobs, from protecting these beaches." It was a promise, as much to reassure her as to fortify my own resolve. That night, as I lay in bed, the images of the day replayed in my mind. The sea creature's eyes, void of any discernible emotion, haunted me, a stark reminder of the ocean's unfathomable mysteries. Sleep was elusive, each sound of the night wind stirring memories of the waters roiling under that monstrous gaze. The chapter of that day closed with many questions left unanswered, but one thing was clear. Our lives as lifeguards in Wildwood had irrevocably changed. The unknown depths had revealed a horror that challenged our understanding of the natural world and our place within it. As the first light of dawn crept across the sky, the ocean called to me once again, a siren's call that was both terrifying and irresistible. The morning after our harrowing encounter, the beach seemed like a different world. The sun rose as brilliantly as ever, its rays painting the sky in vibrant colors. But the sea before me felt altered, its depths holding secrets I was now painfully aware of. As I resumed my watch from the lifeguard stand, the usual joy of greeting the day by the ocean was tinged with a residual fear. The tourists gradually filled the beach, seemingly oblivious to the undercurrent of tension among the locals who had heard about the previous day's events. Mia joined me on the stand, her usual brightness dimmed by shadows under her eyes. We exchanged a look that needed no words, both of us haunted by the same memories. Throughout the day, our conversations were sparse, focused on the necessary. We kept our eyes trained on the water, watching over the bathers with an intensity born of the knowledge of what could lurk beneath. Despite our vigilance, the ocean remained calm, its surface as innocuous as any other day. Mia's departure was imminent, the end of the summer drawing near. As the day wound down, we found ourselves alone on the beach, the setting sun casting long shadows on the sand. "I'm scared, Eli," she confessed as we sat side by side. "Not just of what's out there in the water, but of leaving everything behind." I felt a pang in my chest, knowing I was part of the everything she was leaving. "You have to go," I said softly, my voice thick with emotion. "It's your chance to escape, to start fresh. But whatever happens, I'll always be here for you. You'll never be alone, Mia." As we talked, the barriers between us, built over summers of unspoken words, began to crumble. We spoke of fears, dreams, and the future, our words more honest than they had ever been. It was a release, a relief, but also a goodbye to the way things had been. When it was time for her to go, our farewell was a mix of tears and laughter, promises to keep in touch, to visit. As she drove away, her car becoming just a speck on the horizon, I felt a part of me leave with her. The beach, our beach, would never be the same. The next few days were a blur of routine, each day a repeat of the last, each shift a reminder of Mia's absence. The beach slowly returned to its usual rhythms, the visitors none the wiser to the depths of the ocean's mysteries or the depth of the loss I felt. In the quiet moments, I found myself staring out at the horizon, wondering about the creature, about whether our paths would cross again. The ocean, once a friend, now held a note of menace, a reminder of the unknowns that lay waiting beneath the waves. Summer faded into fall, the tourists left, and the beach grew quiet. I stayed on, the ocean and I keeping each other company through the changing seasons. The memory of that summer, the terror, the revelations, the farewells, lingered like the salt on the breeze. The story of that summer became a part of me, a haunting melody of what had been and what could have been. I kept my promise to Mia, writing to her about the quiet days and the stormy ones, keeping her a part of the beach she had left behind. And as I looked forward to the next summer, I knew the beach would once again pulse with life, with or without the shadow of the deep, and I would be there, watching, waiting, guarding.